Good evening and welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Andrew, the women's basketball team has shocked the world by making history this past week.
You said it, TJ, and the Marquette men's basketball team has sole possession of first place in the Big East. Get ready, Marquette Nation, because Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam dunk! Oh, that's a poster. From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagles Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Happy Valentine's Day. I'm Andrew Amuzu alongside TJ Dysart, and looking to start the season off strong, the Marquette women's lacrosse team takes on the San Diego State Aztecs.
Inside the Valley Fields Dome, the game starts off as a defensive standoff until junior attacker Brooke Waddell opens up the floodgates, scoring for the Aztecs.
And they are ready for it, and Marquette rallies quickly, scoring twice in 2 minutes. Marquette leads 2-1 at the end of the first quarter. The momentum continues as senior attacker Shea Garcia scores her first goal of the game.
And it's all Marquette as 5 players combined for 10 total goals, propelling Marquette to a 12-4 lead going into the half.
And in the third quarter, Lydia Faust continues to show why she was part of the All-Big East first team, scoring her 4th goal of the game. DJ, that's crazy, but San Diego State has no answer for the Golden Eagles, trailing 15-6 at the end of 3.
And again, San Diego isn't going out without a fight as Waddell takes matters into her own hands, scoring 2 quick goals. The Aztecs bring down the deficit to 5 as junior Sarah Toner scores with 8 minutes remaining in the game.
It's heating up, but Garcia puts the game out of reach with the solo goal. Marquette wins their season opener 20-13.
And it might always be sunny in 72 in San Diego, but the Golden Eagles proved that it's not always sunny in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's right. This is the second straight season, though, that the Golden Eagles started in the win column.
Coming up.
You know, it's always good to it's just momentum, and that's a big focus of ours right now, is just building momentum and keeping it, and so nothing's better momentum than a win. So we're really excited about that.
Not a ton of scoring in that first quarter.
Coming after the record-breaking performance and the victory, Faust looks to carry the momentum forward.
Yeah, I think our drives were just working today. It was like, I think in the first half, the first quarter, we weren't finishing a lot, including myself, and I was just taking like a lot of shots, like giving the goalie some saves, and I think all of us just were like hitting pipe or something and turning that around. We just wanted to find the back of the net more, and like once that started happening, it just felt good to like actually finish the play, like beat someone and then score the goal on top of it.
And following their elite performances, Faust and Garcia make the Big East honor roll. Faust recorded a historic 7 goals, and Garcia added in 4 goals, 2 assists, and forced 3 turnovers in the victory. This marks the first time this season that the two had made the honor roll. The men's lacrosse team looked for back-to-back wins going into their Saturday matchup against the University of Utah.
Yeah, and the Utes start off with a purpose and strike 2 goals to start the match.
Golden Eagles look to get on the board thanks to junior midfielder Matthew Weingardner.
But again, this is Utah, and they are always quick to respond as they take a demanding 3-1 lead.
But Weingardner takes charge with his 3rd goal, giving the Golden Eagles their first lead of the game, 7-6, TJ.
But the Utes are tough and score 4 unanswered goals, giving Utah a 10-7 lead.
Weingardner again scores his 4th goal of the match, but Marquette trails at the half, 10-8.
And the dominance of the Utes is on full display as they take control of the game.
Sophomore attacker Bobby O'Grady and the Golden Eagles try to rally back, but ultimately fall short, 18-16.
Utah's going to hand Marquette their first loss of the season after a high scoring affair.
After scoring 5 goals, sophomore attacker Bobby O'Grady is named to the Big East Weekly Honor Roll.
That's a Boston born and raised kid right there.
All right.
The Golden Eagles come out of the locker room with hopes of clenching the first place standing in the Big East Conference.
Finding their rhythm this game, the Golden Eagles let the threes fly from beyond the arc, shooting 15 for 31.
Now, Georgetown will go on a 6-2 run and cuts Marquette's lead to 21-16.
But the Golden Eagles quickly respond with a run of their own.
Sophomore guard Cam Jones and sophomore forward David Joplin light up the court with a couple of threes, pushing the lead back up to 11 points.
The players didn't have Rihanna, TJ, during the halftime, telling them to shine bright like a diamond.
But they did have Coach Shaka Smart telling them to make like a street light because the entire team had the green light to shoot from deep.
4 of the first 5 field goals came from beyond the arc in the second half. They were splashing it.
They were splashing, and the Golden Eagles increased that lead 62-43 with 15 minutes left in the second half.
And overall, it was a balanced scoring effort for the Golden Eagles as 5 Marquette players end the day in double figures.
Junior guard Tyler Kolek and sophomore forward Oso Iguodaro combined with 28 points and 13 assists.
Don't forget about Cam Jones. He finished the game with 14 points on 4 for 9 shooting from the 3.
And Olivier Maxence Prosper and first-year Chase guard both rack up 10 points.
The Golden Eagles take the dub 89-75 over the Hoyas and are now first place in the Big East. After going 1-1 on the week, the men's basketball teams move back 1 spot to number 11 in the latest AP poll. The Golden Eagles have a top 25 matchup against the number 16 ranked Xavier Musketeers to secure first place in the Big East.
Thank you, Andrew. And after a very interesting weekend of basketball, we welcome in men's basketball beat reporter Kaylin Wright. Kaylin, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Kaylin, it seemed as if the entire team played with a chip on their shoulder against Georgetown. Was there anything in terms of that you watched that was different about how the team approached this one?
Yeah, I thought it was just more of a complete game today, and their offense kind of showed up. You know, with UConn in the first half, they shot 36%, and then coming with Georgetown, they had 54% from the field, so they definitely picked up their offense as well. Like you said, balanced scoring, five players scoring in double digits, and especially from their threes as well. 15 made threes, ties a season best. So I thought that they brought their offense today compared to that UConn game, and you're definitely going to need that offense going into Xavier's game tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 offensive teams going neck and neck against each other. Now, speaking of Xavier, the Golden Eagles have now taken the number 1 seed, as we mentioned, right atop of Xavier. So what can the Golden Eagles expect from Xavier heading into their upcoming game tomorrow?
Yeah, like you said, Xavier is a very offensive team. They lead the Big East in points per game, assists, and three-point percentage. They have 4 players averaging in double figures, and their leading scorer, Sully Boom, is expected to play but has an ankle issue. So that will definitely be a factor on whether or not Marquette takes this one. And also, Zach Fremantle has been out with a foot injury for a while. So that's going to be a factor in the game tomorrow night. So we'll see what Xavier's offense has to give for Marquette.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with those injuries, you certainly can't downplay Xavier's offensive talent. Now, with these 2 teams being the top of the Big East, it's going to be a dogfight of a game. So what are some of the pivotal adjustments that the Golden Eagles might have to make to maintain this number 1 ranking?
Yeah, you know, Shaka's really instilled this defensive identity into the team, and that's something they're going to need to bring against Xavier's killer offense as well. And last time out, they were out-rebounded significantly, so they're going to need to crash the boards and play defense. And like I always say, defense leads to offense.
Most definitely. Kaylin, thank you so much for joining us on this show today. But we are out of time. Coming up, the women's basketball team continues to defy odds. Find out more after the break.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
Welcome back to Golden Eagles Sports Report. Once again, I'm Andrew Muzu.
And I'm TJ Dysart.
TJ, the women's basketball team has the country on notice.
You're absolutely right, Andrew. The Golden Eagles pull off the historic upset over number 4 ranked UConn for the program's first ever win against the Huskies.
First ever. And to start the game, it's all UConn to start, as graduate student forward Dorka Juhas scores the first 4 points for the Huskies, giving UConn a 6-point lead.
And the Golden Eagles finally break free from the next as senior guard Jordan King takes control with a nice drive and three-pointer to put Marquette in front.
And after a 16-4 run, Marquette finds himself up 6 at the end of the first frame.
Yeah, Marquette's favorite senior forward Chloe Murata caps off the Golden Eagles' first quarter with a nice spin move in the post, and she gets the bank shot to go.
Looking like Tim Duncan. The second quarter is all Marquette as the Golden Eagles defense puts the Huskies in a dry spell, surging to a 13-point lead.
And senior forward Kennedy Miles puts on the clamps and strips the ball from redshirt forward junior Aubrey Griffin and hits first-year guard Emily LaChapelle for the transition 3.
Then the Huskies go on a 12-5 run before the half with the help of Juhas, who scores 6 points.
Now keep in mind, this is the Huskies here.
Yes,
they're going to show why they're one of the best programs in the country, and they keep the Golden Eagles scoreless for almost 3 minutes.
But despite their offensive struggles, Marquette uses a mini run at the end of the half, going up 5 to end the half.
Both teams come out of the break with a chip on their shoulders and use mini offensive runs to keep the game close.
And, well, you know, Juhas continue to do her thing, showing off her wingspan and stuffs junior forward Liza Carlin at the basket, leading to the Griffin transition 3.
And Murata once again proves to be Marquette's X factor, scoring 6 straight Golden Eagles points to keep Marquette in front going into the final quarter.
And hoping, really hoping not to repeat last year's loss, the Golden Eagles use suffocating defense down the stretch to stun the Huskies 59-52.
You couldn't lose after that fight. This victory marks the first win against UConn in program history and the first back-to-back losses for the Huskies since 1993, before we even saw the light of day.
In some ways, I'm speechless. Next emotion is I'm just incredibly proud of these women and what they did tonight. A historic win for Marquette women's basketball. We knew we were up against just a buzzsaw with Connecticut losing on Sunday. Knew there was going to be some major blows and punches thrown, but I thought our girls were just tremendous. Staying together, fighting. Probably one of our best defensive performances of the season, just with their fight and grit. And even our rebounding effort was tremendous.
And Murata ends the game with a game-high 19 points and 9 rebounds. This marks Murata's 19th double-figure scoring game of the season.
The biggest thing is we got to the backside of our actions. You know, UConn's always going to take away the first, second option. So what's that third option look like? And a lot of times it's me coming off of down screens, trying to create and read what I have. I think tonight, you know, the shot fell. We were all confident with it. Yeah, I mean, you know, you just got to take it. One time you make one mistake against that team, and it's a phenomenal team that will take advantage of it. So if you don't shoot that first shot, they're going right back down your throat.
Coach, I think in the past.
Coach Duffy becomes just the 4th coach ever to beat Gino Auriemma as a player and coach following the game. UConn head coach Gino Auriemma offers his praise to Duffy and how she has built her program.
Megan was a hell of a player, as everybody knows, you know, at Notre Dame. But one thing I've found about Megan that really pisses me off is that she's entirely too chipper for me. That kid is never not happy. She's never not supportive of her team. She's never anything but upbeat, and I love the way she coaches, plain and simple. And she coaches to her personality. That's how she was as a player, and that's how she coaches her team. And they play with that same toughness and physicality that she played with.
And Marquette was in a similar situation last season against UConn, but with the strong defensive stand, the Golden Eagles made sure this year was a different outcome.
Experience. I mean, like I said, we came into a huddle and we were up with the media timeout in the 4th quarter, and I was like, we were here last year. I'm not watching film on how we lost it in the last 5 minutes. So knowing that you have to put 40 minutes of basketball together, and for us, I felt like we did that. At times when they were able to score, we made a defensive mistake, foul trouble, whatever it was. I don't think we let that that alter our mindset, and that's the biggest thing is how can you stay present possession by possession, and yeah, we did that.
And I'm sure you've been asked this, but just what
Following her near double-double against UConn, in which she put up 19 points and 9 rebounds, senior forward Chloe Murata earns a spot on the Big East Weekly Honor Roll. Murata also adds 3 assists, 2 blocks, and 1 steal in the victory. This marks the 4th time this season Murata has earned this honor. Marquette also receives 5 top 25 votes in the latest AP poll and are the unofficial 35th ranked team in the country.
And we have the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Albright. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
So we're going to get right into it. Jack, the Golden Eagles pull off the unthinkable by beating UConn this past week. How did they do it?
So I'm a big believer that one play does not determine a game, but I also truly believe that runs are important and momentum creates wins. And what really stuck out to me was halfway through the third quarter, senior forward Chloe Murata, of all people, scored a three-pointer, right? How is it her? But she scores a three-pointer, and then Marquette never loses the lead for the rest of the game. That was really what allowed Marquette to have the defensive stalwart at the end in order to secure the win. You really saw it, Chloe continue to hit these clutch buckets after she got the three-pointer as well. I mean, after the game, Coach Duffy was very clear about that, saying, and I quote, Chloe obviously made huge shots at the end. You know, the story of the game after that three-pointer was defense to offense. UConn looked slow, they looked behind. Marquette was able to capitalize, scoring a lot of buckets down the stretch in transition.
It really made a difference, but it was overall a team effort, and they've been doing this all season long. This is the second time this season that Marquette has beaten a top 5 team in the nation, and this is the most in program history, which is crazy. How big is this feat for the program who's trying to get into the NCAA tournament?
So right now they're ranked 40th in the NET rankings, and in ESPN women's basketball bracketologist Charlie Cream's rankings, they're in first place in the last 4 in category. The big thing is that Marquette doesn't have it guaranteed, but they control their own destiny. It doesn't matter what happens in the rest of the Big East. It doesn't matter. If they win, they're in, which was not the case last Tuesday night. You know, they were able to beat Texas in the Bahamas, and that was a great win, and people took notice. You know, they became nationally ranked because of it. But this win as well solidifies them as a candidate to go on and do successful and make it to March.
Yeah, and they have the support behind them. That place was rocking. I wish I was there. And of course, the fans are loving the result. So how did that home court advantage kind of help Marquette get that win?
So I was actually lucky enough to be inside the stadium, not as media, I didn't have my media pass on, not that night. But it was very, very clear that as the game went on and it looked like Marquette had a chance, the fans got into it. There was one thing especially that stood out to me, assistant coach Jonathan Sippis, whenever Marquette would go down the court, he'd be the first guy to stand up and start throwing his arms in the air. He was into it more than anyone else, and that energy was incredibly infectious. The entire crowd was into it. You know, you could see the student section. You had the volleyball players there. You had Shaka Smart there. You had Oso there. Everyone was there.
The whole family was there.
Over 2,500 people packed those stands, and they were loud, and it was definitely a big part of the Golden Eagles' win.
Fear of missing out. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. It sounded like a crazy atmosphere for sure.
It definitely was.
But we mentioned her before. Chloe Murata, she earns another Big East Honor Roll selection this week. You know, was she the X factor in this win, would you say?
Yes, she was. And you can look at how well she did on the court. But one thing that really stuck out to me was during timeouts, regardless of whether it was media or it was a Marquette timeout, before Coach Duffy went to talk to her team, Chloe Murata was the one in the huddle breaking it down, talking about what needs to go, what they need to improve on. She was the one that took the charge to be that leader that, you know, we weren't sure who it was going to be after Lauren Van Clunen. Chloe Murata last Wednesday, proved to be that person, keeping Marquette calm, keeping their heads in the game, and making sure that they knew that the game wasn't over, like Jordan King said. She also helped out massively on both sides of the floor, like she's done all season. Absolutely no surprise there. She was far and away the MVP. She's the one that stuck out to me the most. I left the Al McGuire Center thinking if Chloe wasn't there, Marquette wouldn't have been.
Yeah, and that's right. And so, of course, they're celebrating, but it's on to the next. Marquette is back in action tomorrow against Providence. So how can they keep this momentum going forward?
They've struggled on the road this entire season at the start. You know, they went to UConn, they went down by 9. They went to Creighton, they went down by 9. If they're able to get a hot start at Alumni Hall, a building that they haven't lost in since 2017, Marquette's going to be able to pull out the win. That's what I think is key.
Well, Jack, I mean, I like that. Those are your keys right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Jack's keys right there. I like that. Well, thank you so much for your answers, but that's all the time we have. Coming up in pro sports, Did the refs decide the Super Bowl? Plus, are the Lakers actually title contenders? We dive into that after the break.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
And welcome back to Studio 7 as we discuss our Super Bowl reactions, LeGoat, and more. Joining me on the panel tonight is Andrew Amuzu and Tommy Gilchrist. Now let's get to it. Guys, the Chiefs came back and took down the Eagles, bringing the Lombardi Trophy back to Kansas City. Mahomes was the first regular season MVP to win the Super Bowl since Kurt Warner. So, is he already a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he is a first ballot Hall of Famer already. I mean, his 5 years as a starting quarterback, he's taken the Chiefs to the AFC Championship every year, 3 Super Bowls. He's been a 3-time All-Pro. He's won 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, although I don't know if he should have got this one, but 2 Super Bowl MVPs nonetheless. This guy has proven himself to be a Hall of Famer.
You said you don't know if he should have gotten this one, so we'll get back to that. But Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, are we going to get to that? Like, who would be the runner-up?
Right.
He was almost perfect. Actually, he was perfect. 0 turnovers. Didn't get sacked thanks to his offensive line. But he had 3 touchdowns. Now, to many people, that's like, yeah, 3 touchdowns. You're supposed to do that as a QB. But he really showed that's vintage Patrick Mahomes. He's 14-10 when he's down, which is the highest winning percentage by far. Like, if there's a reservation, if you're able to make a reservation for the first ballot Hall of Famer, go ahead and do it because he's secured his spot.
And especially in football, you talk about stuff like that in basketball being down. It's a lot different than being down in football, especially in a Super Bowl, let alone. But there has been some talks about this win. Like Tommy was saying, the NFL is launching some investigation as to whether, there was a PED used at halftime. We don't need to get into that. We'll see what happens with that. But also at the very end of the game, on a crucial 3rd down stop for the Eagles, veteran corner James Bradbury got flagged for a controversial defensive holding. Now, was this the right call? We've talked about refs a lot on the show. Obviously, this is the biggest stage. Your refereeing career is kind of on display. So talk to me a little bit about that, Andrew.
Okay, well, a lot of people do not think that call should have been made. As, this is the biggest game. Like you said, the Super Bowl, I could see the refs being like, we're not going to call it. But let's think back to a few weeks ago when LeBron James and the Celtics, they were going at it, right?
Always got to bring in my Celtics.
Okay, that last second thing, he did not call foul. People were like, oh my gosh.
Right.
But you could say the same thing for that game. Now, what about the moment?
Absolutely.
Let him play. So the same thing could be said about this. So what happens if that flag wasn't called?
Sure.
Now people will be like, that was a flag, that should have happened.
So
the refs they literally, he was holding him.
Right.
I don't know. I think to that point, I think if you're going to intervene on a last kind of play of the game, it has to be blatant, it has to be obvious, it has to be so clear to the light of day that you are being held just like LeBron was karate chopped on that play. That was a very, I don't know if a hand on the back is going to really change the outcome. The ball's already overthrown, but
he got a fistful of jersey right there. He got a fistful of that jersey. He admitted that he did it. So
he did admit.
That's
so
Andrew,
I want to go back to your point. So you're basically saying that in terms of the people critiquing the refs, they can't have it both ways, is what you're saying. Exactly.
I mean, you can't have it both ways. The refs know at the end of the day what they're doing. Now, of course, they're human. They're going to miss a few things.
Sure.
But right then and there, that is the right call. The players said it. Like, the entire players said, they all said it. It's a call. Like, they got it right. And so us as fans, we got to chop it up. Like that's a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've now seen a little social media banter kind of regarding this.
Oh my gosh!
Juju threw up a little memed tweet talking about him always holding him. AJ Brown
not a good look.
With a little harsh tweet. So TikTok boy is at it again. But I want to transition a little bit here. You mentioned LeBron James. So LeBron James has obviously broken Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record and is currently on pace to be the first player ever to score 40,000 points. Now, with this now being LeBron's record, what other records do you think will never be broken? Tommy?
I'm going to go with the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game. And I just think with the way the game's centered around the perimeter and guard play, I just think defenders are too athletic and too hard to it's too hard to score 100 points as a guard. And that's where all the points are coming from. It's a guard-driven league, and you need a big man to be able to get 100 points. You need to get fouled. You need to be able to get inside, get dirty. And when he scored it, I think he had 3 inches and 50 pounds on everybody he was playing against.
And so are you saying, do you think it's a question of the defensive talent has just increased so much, or do you think it's the way the game is played different?
That's a great question, TJ.
Thank you.
I think it's a little bit of a mix of both.
Sure.
I think it's a little bit too hard to be relying on three-pointers to be able to get you 100 points. You need a lot of threes, and you need a lot of help on. But
you have the threes, though. Like, you have the three-point line. Before, Wilt didn't have a three-point line.
Right.
So
that's true.
You have a three. Like, obviously Kobe almost got it at 81. And so Donovan Mitchell he cracked that 70-point range. But you have the three-point line. Let's say the game goes into triple overtime and you keep shooting threes.
Maybe if you get a little triple overtime.
You could.
That could be.
But to answer your question, TJ, I have a few records that will probably not get broken.
Sure.
Well, we can start it right here. One record is that I will never lose an argument at C Block. So that's going to be not broken at all. And so let's just get that off the record right there. But also, I think the 72-10 Chicago Bulls winning the championship, I don't think that record's going to be broken. Because you understand, like, the Warriors were close. But you have to have that level of dominance from start to finish. A lot of people are like 72-10 is very hard to achieve. But, winning that championship, it doesn't mean a thing without a ring.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think to your point, as players, I think in order to achieve a record like that, you really have to go in preseason, training camp. You have to go in saying, I'm going to do this record, right?
Yeah.
You can't have players taking load management. You can't have players slacking. You got to have every game with the mentality that they are going to win.
That's
so
right.
great points by you guys.
But can I add something real quick,
Absolutely.
TJ? You're a Boston guy.
Sure.
So I'll also say Bill Russell's 12 rings. Come on.
Thank you for putting some
12
respect on
rings?
his name. God
Who
rest
will
his
ever
soul.
win 12 rings?
It's a very big one. It's a very big one. But sticking with the NBA topic, a lot has happened in the NBA since the trade deadline has expired, and there were so many big moves that teams have made, and probably the most notable trade was sending KD to the Phoenix Suns. I mean, I woke up to that, which was unbelievable. Do you guys think this trade is a lock for a title for KD and the Suns?
I'm not going to say a lock for the title. I mean, there's some Eastern Conference teams that are built pretty scary out there. I mean, I'm talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, and begrudgingly, I'll throw the Celtics in there because as a Lakers fan. But both those teams are just so dominant, and I do love this move, though, by Phoenix. You're adding one of the greatest scorers in NBA history to already a Hall of Fame point guard and a dominant big man and a shooting guard who's entering his prime. I just think this is a great move, and they need another scorer, but it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, I do apologize. We are all out of time. But thank you guys for a great discussion. Be sure to tune in next time for all of our campus sports news and our coverage of Marquette sports and more. For Andrew and Muzu, I'm TJ Dysart. Good night, Marquette.